Hey everybody, welcome back to the Song Game. I'm your host, Megan Lacey. Every week we use small songwriting prompts to help us understand how songs come together inside our own process. And this week I want to use a prompt based in lyrics because I got to do a co-write with one of our song gamers last week, and it was so fun the way that we generated our lyrics. I've noticed this before in other co-writes, how powerful it can be to actually get things out of your mind and onto the paper. And it helps to take the pressure off of feeling like you have to generate this whole thing inside of yourself and then let it flow out. A lot of times generating lyrics like this will help the song direct you where it wants to go instead of feeling like you have to manufacture the entire thing from within. And one thing that became really clear in the session was how much more fun it was to chase an image rather than trying to chase a feeling. A lot of times we'll sit down to write with something in mind like, I want the song to feel sad, or the song's about heartache, or even I want to convey a feeling of nostalgia. And that's not wrong, but it can be a little vague, especially if we're not really tuned in to what creates emotion in a listener. Feelings are abstract, but images are concrete, and I found that writing towards strong imagery will help emotion come out naturally without really having to explain it. And the emotions can be far more nuanced than if we're actually writing for one specific emotion. So this week we're focused on writing towards some root imagery and allowing that imagery to guide where the song goes. I want you guys to bring one word or image to the table, and it actually helps if it's not a broad theme or an emotion, but something really concrete and something that has a little weight to it or some gravity. Something striking. Even the word strike to me has a kind of a character or some kind of weight to it. Maybe that's just me, but look for words that pull you in some way, that have some kind of grit or attitude or some kind of compulsion towards them. I'm a huge proponent of daily writing, and I'm not talking like layers and layers of journal writing, but just bullet points, little phrases, little words, little things that go together in kind of poetic imagery, and I use these a lot in my writing. But if you're not used to something like this, I recommend just taking out your notes app while you're watching a movie this week and write down any words or phrases that kind of feel like they pull something in you, that jump out at you or strike you in some way. You can even do this with your favorite novel and just go through and write down any words that kind of feel like they have a weight to them. Homework. In my co-write this week with Ben, I brought a few phrases and words to the table that I thought might be interesting, and one really struck us both. I had written crystalline figurine, which is a little bit of a mouthful, and to be honest, we weren't sure how it would fit into the song. So we started talking about ideas and things that image brought up in both of us, and just started writing down words and nouns and associations. And I'll give you a couple examples of what we came up with. We had something pretty but not entirely true. Icons or symbols that are meant to represent something. Frozen in place, fragile, transparent, fake, toy, play, pretend, fear, getting stuck, and static, to which I added situation, thinking this is another kind of anchor phrase. Static situation kind of has a cool rhythmic phrasing to it. And at this point, we're just writing down words, and we're not really editing. What I do sometimes, if I like one word better than one that I just wrote, I just write it next to it. So we had collide, and then I wrote collision right next to it, because either one of those words could work, and one might strike something in you that the other one didn't. And here's a quick side note that I use in my own practice, and it goes like this. I like to write all over the page. I like to write over here, over here. Sometimes I use a typewriter, so I write in different places on the page, and I try to get out of linear writing, because a lot of times linear writing leads to linear thinking, and what we're trying to do is inspire ourselves to think in a new way. So oftentimes just changing the environment of your page will help inspire something new in you. Once you've gathered some language, now you can start putting some of those words together and seeing what sounds cool together, what wants to go together. You can start looking for rhymes. I always recommend against looking for perfect rhymes, but looking for interesting rhymes like frozen, sun, situation, fixation. I really recommend feeling for how the words feel together rather than listening for how they sound together. A lot of times I use mouth feel to see if two words might go together, and that's a feeling in your body. It's a visceral feeling. I know a lot of us are kind of very mental, and we're up here, we're in our head, we're out of our bodies, but the emotions live in the body. And so we're really, one of the practices of songwriting is getting into your body and seeing what things feel like rather than what they should be. As we continue putting words together and building phrases, now we're starting to write towards connection. We're still not trying to explain the imagery, but we're orbiting around it in lots of different ways so that we're able to bring dynamic ideas into the center. You can ask questions like, where are these images residing? And what do they want? What can't they have? What are some relationships around these images? Are any of these images moving, or are they stuck? Or how do they move? Or how do they stay still? This is where lines begin to appear that feel a little less like lyrics and more like real life observations, things that you're actually seeing in your world. I'll give you an example from the song Ben and I were writing together. The very first lines were, I'm on a high-speed train, circle around the sun, a static situation. And I just liked the way that all of those words felt together, and it started to build an image that was a little bit hard to grasp, but somehow felt like it had a weight. And who knows what lyrics will end up staying, but these types of associations that you make will make your brain kind of go in new directions to make the connections work and realize what possibly the song is trying to tell you. As your image sharpens, I want you to be on the lookout for words and images that want to feel repetitive or want to be the center of attention. This is often where your hook lies, not in saying more, but in saying less more often. What I want you guys to notice this week is how powerful it can be to stop writing towards the emotion that you're trying to convey and write towards imagery that everyone can grab onto. And in this way, you're letting the emotion emerge in people naturally, and you're not pointing to something that they should be feeling. You're allowing them to have their own unique emotional experience in listening to your song. If this week's prompt helped you guys at all to understand your lyric writing a little better or to lock into something new, I'd love to hear about it. And if you guys want to share a snippet of your writing practice, tag us at Inside the Song Game on Instagram. If you want to share a full song, go to InsideTheSongGame.com and head to the Song Game tab where you'll find a submission form. I'd love to host you on our playlist this week. I can't wait to hear what you guys write when you trust image to do the work for you. And at the very least, I hope you guys start to implement some of this writing practice into your own daily space. It just takes a couple minutes a day to write some cool things, and then you'll always have content to pull off of your own writing. How cool is that? I'll see you guys next week for another prompt.